Falls Borough Council being held August 9th, 2022. This meeting is hereby called to order. Would the clerk please read the open public meeting statement?
Pursuant to Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by posting on the bulletin board at Borough Hall and by notification to the Asbury Park Press, the Newark Star Ledger, and the New Coaster at least 48 hours prior to the meeting and filing with the Borough Clerk, all on January 4th, 2022.
Thank you. May I ask the clerk to call the roll, please?
Mrs. Clay?
Here.
Dr. Dobrin?
Here.
Mr. Manginelli?
Here.
Mr. Nessie? Absent. Ms. Buckley?
Here. Now I'll ask the Director of Law to read the executive session resolution.
Yes, whereas the Open Public Meetings Act provides that the Borough Council may go into executive session to discuss matters that may be confidential or listed pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12, and whereas it is recommended by the Director of Law that the Borough Council go into executive session to discuss the matters set forth hereinafter which are permissible for discussion in executive session. Now therefore be it resolved by the Borough Council of the Borough of Tinton Falls that the Council shall go into executive session to discuss the following items. We have two on the agenda for tonight. The first is a personnel matter. That is a discussion report on study completed. And the second is for contract negotiations, and that is a discussion about general contracts. That is the resolution for tonight's agenda.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the resolution?
Motion.
Thank
Second.
you. Thank you for the second. May I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Clay?
Yes.
Dr. Dobrin?
Yes.
Mr. Manginelli?
Yes.
Ms. Buckley?
Yes. Now we'll move into executive session and reconvene when we're done. Thank you. Let the record reflect that it's now 7:32 PM and we'll reconvene the regular meeting. May I ask the clerk to call the roll, please?
Mrs. Clay?
Here.
Dr. Dobrin?
Here.
Mr. Manginelli?
Here.
Mr. Nessie?
Here.
Ms. Buckley?
Here. At this time, I'd like to invite everyone to join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the Director of Law please summarize the executive session discussion?
Yes, the council just completed an executive session, that's confidential session. There were 2 items discussed at the executive session. The first was personnel matter, that was a report on a study that was completed. And the second was contract negotiations, and it was a discussion on general contracts. That second subject matter, the discussion about general contracts, is going to be the topic of a resolution that will be added to the agenda tonight, and that will be conditionally designating RWJ Barnabas Health as a redeveloper of Block 101.03, Lot 1. That's, if anyone knows, the former Meyer Center property over here, which there are plans for RWJ to present an application to develop that with a cancer center, a hospital, and a medical office building, and that will be the topic of a presentation at tomorrow night's planning board meeting in this room. That concludes the topics that were discussed at executive session tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Starkey. There are no approval of meeting minutes for this evening, so that brings us to reports. Before we move on to reports, Mayor Aprillo has asked that I read the following proclamations. We're going to start with reading a proclamation acknowledging years of service for Aaron Brawner. Unfortunately, Mr. Brawner was not able to be with us again this evening, so I'm going to read the proclamation, and then we will be, hopefully he and his family are watching, and then we will be mailing it to him. A proclamation acknowledging Aaron Brawner for his years of service to the Tinton Falls Fire District No. 1 and Wayside Fire Company. Whereas the Borough of Tinton Falls is pleased to acknowledge Aaron Brawner, who was awarded the Military Outstanding Service Medal for his many years of dedication to the United States Coast Guard and Tinton Falls Fire District No. 1 and Wayside Fire Company. Whereas Aaron Brawner has served with honor in the United States Coast Guard since 1990 and throughout his long and exemplary career in the Coast Guard. He demonstrated exceptional professionalism and dedication to duty while being deployed in diverse assignments. And whereas an array of accolades, including an Armed Forces Service Medal, a Global War on Terror Service Medal, a Meritorious Service Medal, a Humanitarian Service Medal, a National Defense Medal, and a host of commendation ribbons, bear witness to his many accomplishments and attest to the high regard in which he is held. And whereas Aaron Brawner is further appreciated for his unwavering commitment to Tinton Falls Fire District No. 1, Wayside Fire Company, a superb 9-year tenure marked by his swift and valiant response to more than 100 fire-related incidents, and his exceptional leadership as ex-president and assistant engineer, and as chair of the Housing and Grounds Committee and the department's 100th Anniversary Committee. And whereas his determined actions in response to the needs of others have earned him numerous life-saving extrication awards, a Unit Citation Award, and 2016's Firefighter of the Year Award. Whereas Aaron Brawner has generously shared his time and resources with a host of benevolent organizations and endeavors, including the Boy Scouts of America, Relay for Life, Tinton Falls Little League, and the ALS Polar Bear Plunge. Now therefore be it resolved that the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Tinton Falls hereby recognizes Aaron Brawner in tribute to his meritorious record of service, leadership, and commitment, and extends sincere best wishes for continued success in all of his future endeavors. Be it further resolved that a duly authenticated copy of this proclamation, signed by the Mayor of Tinton Falls, will be transmitted to Aaron Brawner. Signed, Mayor Vito Perillo.
Council President. The mayor would just like to say his own thank you to Mr. Braun.
Yes, please, Mr. Mayor.
I want to commend Aaron Brawner for all his service, really, and I want to thank this family for bringing up such a fine young man. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have a proclamation honoring Robert Sandberg. I know that we have Mr. Sandberg's family, if you'd like to join me. Actually, should I? Yeah, if you want to come up, I just don't, do I have a microphone? Can you move it this way? Technical difficulties. Just- Thank you for being with us this evening. A proclamation honoring Robert Sandberg. Whereas on behalf of our community, we wish to record our deep sorrow over the passing of Robert Sandberg on July 17th. And whereas born on March 31st, 1945 at Newark Presbyterian Hospital to Victor Alexander Sandberg and Agnes Curry Sampson, Robert moved to Tinton Falls in 1957. He attended Red Bank Regional High School and then transferred to Monmouth Regional High School when it opened. Robert was part of the first graduating class from Monmouth Regional, graduating in 1963. Robert then graduated from Houghton College in 1967. Whereas Robert was employed as an auditor for Lamberts and Sampson as an auditor and supervising auditor in the Department of Human Services, a division of auditing, retiring in 2002. Robert also worked as a dive instructor at Shark River Dive Center from 1980 to 1982. He achieved the level of dive master. Whereas Robert also served the United States Army for 2 years and later retired from the United States Coast Guard Reserve in 1995. Whereas Robert Sandberg's life was dedicated to the best interests of the community, Robert volunteered his time to many organizations, including the New Jersey, New York Baykeepers, Tinton Falls Environmental Commission, Tinton Falls Library Association Board, Sierra Club, SEAS, Whale Pond Brook Watershed Association, Princeton Ski Club, American Littoral Society, Clearwater Festival, and Princeton Ski Club. Robert also was an ESL tutor and volunteered with Habitat for Humanity through Tower Hill Church in Red Bank. Whereas Robert enjoyed family, sailing, all boating, traveling, skiing, scuba diving, genealogy, history, gardening, and many other activities. He loved animals and at the time of death had a dog, Gracie, and a cat, Bootsy. Now therefore be it resolved that the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Tinton Falls hereby recognizes Robert Sandberg's contributions to our community and its citizens. We hereby express our deep appreciation for his service to our community and extend to his family our sincere sympathy upon his passing. Whew. Signed, Mayor Vito Perillo. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have a public hearing for the Monmouth County Open Space Grant Program 2022 funding cycle, which we're required to hold. I would like to turn the floor over to our Borough Engineer, Tom Neff, to discuss the details.
Thank you, Council President. So this will be similar to the public hearing we had, I believe it was at the last council meeting for the CDBG grant. I'll just give a brief overview of the grant. Then we'll open it up to council for any questions or comments, and then you can open it up to the public. So again, this is the Monmouth County Municipal Open Space Grant Program. It's an annual grant program that the county puts out every year through their park system. And each year, the county commissioners allocate $2 million towards this program. The maximum award that a municipality can get is $250,000, and it is a matching grant. So if we were to get $200,000 or $250,000, the borough has to match that. And typically, we use the borough's open space trust fund for that funding source. So grant applications can be for acquisition of new open space, development of new park facilities, or renovation of existing parks. And typically, the county does favor new facilities over just replacing an existing playground or something like that. They want to see something newer, a little different, innovative. So in years past, most recently, we received $127,000 for the Liberty Park Dog Park, which just opened. That was a successful one. Before that was the Wardell Park, the whole facility out there. We received $200,000 for that. And before that was the Waltz Farm property acquisition. So we have been successful in the past with this grant. We typically do a good job as a borough with this. Last year we weren't successful, but I think it was really only because we had been so successful in years past that they had to spread the funds around a little bit more and not just keep giving it to us. So we did discuss, with some of the borough officials and council members, different options, and we do want to resubmit again for a new restroom building at Wardell Park. Since the park has opened, it's been used immensely. It's very popular, mostly the pickleball, but also the basketball, the tennis, and the playground. A lot of residents use that. People travel from all over to that facility. When we built it, we spent, well over $1 million. So the borough just couldn't afford to do everything all at once. Couldn't afford the bathroom building at that time. But there is space for a small building. It would be similar to what was just recently put in over at Sycamore Rec Complex over there by the new pavilions. Pretty much same type of structure. So the total cost for what would be going in the park is about $488,000. So we would apply for half of that, which is $244,000. So the specific improvements that would be going for is the prefabricated restroom building. We have separate men's and women's facilities. It would also include a sanitary sewer pump station that would be needed to pump the sewer out to the nearest manhole. Include water service, electrical facilities, and new sidewalk within the site going to the new building. And then outside of what's going in the park, the borough would also invest some of the open space funds to get utilities to the park. That was the other reason, to the park. That was the other reason it wasn't done at the time. There is no water or sewer in Wardell Road. So we'd have to go from the nearest community and do some off-site improvements, which the county wouldn't pay for as part of that grant. So, if the council is in support of this, my office will finalize the application. It's due on September 15th, and the county typically announces the awards sometime in December of this year. So again, if the council is in support, there is a draft agenda of approval to submit the grant application under the consent agenda.
Okay.
Anyone have any questions on this?
Any council member?
No questions.
All right.
Someone say you're in support.
Yes, I am in support, as I was last year when we tried to apply for this. I think it's necessary. If we can get the grant funds to do it, all the better. We have had, like you said, success with this, and kudos to Mr. Neff primarily for putting together the grant application and having such a track record of success with this grant. I think we all know Wardell Park is very highly utilized and very popular, so this is absolutely necessary to do. So I am fully in support for
Yes,
this.
I agree. I am as well.
I will.
Okay. I agree. Yeah. We're required to hold a public hearing on the submission of the open space grant application. So I'd like to have a motion to open the public hearing.
Motion. Second.
Thank you. Thank you for the second. Mr. Manginelli. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Just a reminder to the public that comments for this portion of the meeting will be limited to 3 minutes and should only pertain to the topic of the community development grant application. Is there anyone from the public here tonight who would like to comment on this application? Please address us at the podium. Yes.
Good evening. Denise Catalano, 11 Alpine Trail. I didn't know this was on the agenda, but thank you for supporting it. Wardell Park is tremendously used. Pickleball every morning. There's basketball 3/4 of the day. I see it from the mid-afternoon to the evening. The kids' playground is used. It's probably one of the most used parks that you have in town. So thank you especially to Mr. Neff for everything he's doing for us, but thank you for supporting it. It's money well spent, trust me. And the word is on the court, and we get people from Ocean County, et cetera, New York City. They said it's the best facility they've ever seen, so keep up the good work.
Nice.
Thumbs up to you guys. Thank you.
And the shade structures were ordered, don't worry.
What?
The shade structures were ordered earlier, don't worry.
Oh, yeah, well, I would talk to you privately about that.
Is there any other member of the public that would like to make a comment? Okay. May I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you very much. Now moving on to reports, and we'll turn it back over to Mr. Neff.
I just want to give a brief update on some of the construction going on. I'm sure that's what most people care about. Getting to Borough Hall, the work right out front here, they completed phase 1, which is the back half, so you can now come in directly from Pearl Harbor and Pinebrook, or from Corregidor and come up. So that part is complete. They're now working on phase 2, which is directly in front of Borough Hall. That involves the realignment and the shift to the east to line up with the high school's driveway. That's probably about another 2 weeks of work, and then that'll be open. Once that's complete, you'll be able to go all the way from Tinton Ave to Pinebrook along Pearl Harbor. It'll be a through street. So just bear with us for another 2 weeks or so. That's related to the Lennar development. And then the Sycamore project, that should be wrapped up Friday evening and open for the weekend. So, and hopefully the water main, that was unfortunate water main break on Tinton Ave, but that should be wrapped up soon as well with New Jersey American Water.
I feel bad for people trying to get here from Cold Snack.
Yeah. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Neff. Our CFO is not here this evening, so we'll turn over to Mr. Tarafanko, RBI.
Thank you, Council President. No official report, just a few comments. This year, we were able to reinstitute our youth programs, and I just want to say a word of thanks to the Police Department for the Junior Police Academy, which graduated this past week, which Council and the Mayor attended the graduation. It was well received, and I think it's a viable program, and I think we're going to have an overwhelming response now that people know it's back in available to the community at Tinton Falls. And also Recreation. I want to give a word of thanks to Recreation. They had their summer program. It was overwhelming response. Every week was basically at capacity. And I know they had a waiting list, and I'm sure now that we're going to be going forward in years to come with the summer programs, it's just going to grow exponentially. So thank you to Recreation for that. And I'll wrap it up with just a reminder that we did schedule Community Day. That's going to be October 8th. And for further information, you can look on the borough website, whether you want to be a vendor or an attendee the day of the event, which is October 8th. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tarafanko. Mayor Perillo, for your report this evening.
I just want to say that it was a pleasure to meet the Sandberg family this evening, and I wish them well. And I would like to ask Mr. Neff, when are we going to have that bridge taken care of on Sycamore Avenue? What's the story with that?
So that is the Parkway project. That should be wrapped up Friday evening. That's what they're telling us.
This coming Friday?
Correct. It was supposed to be a 2-week project.
That's good news.
Yep, so a little bit more.
Okay, thank you, that's it.
Thank you, Mayor.
Oh, I want to thank the council president for the fine job she did on reading the proclamations. Thank you, President.
Thanks, Mayor. Now we have Mr. Starkey, our Director of Law.
Thank you, Council President. I have no report this evening.
Okay. Ms. Hutchinson, our clerk.
Thank you. I have no report this evening.
All right. Thank you. And now we move on.
Thank you, Council President. I would like to first acknowledge Aaron Bronner for his many years of service. Secondly, I would like to offer my condolences to the Sandberg family, and also to acknowledge Robert Sandberg for his many years of volunteering and his vast contributions to the borough of Tinton Falls. Echoing what Mr. Tarafanko said, I'd like to thank the Recreation Department and Sherry for a fantastic summer program. I know there are people in the room whose children attended the summer program with my children, and when I drive past it, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this. Like, feels like yesterday, but it feels like forever. But it's a great program. Also, I'd like to also thank the Tinton Falls Police Department for the great job with the Junior Police Academy. I know some students that attended this summer, they loved it, and the police department does a fantastic job with that. Also, as Mr. Tarafanko mentioned, Community Day is October 8th. There are flyers on the website, and we also still do have some sponsorships available if anybody is so inclined. On the 26th of July, I attended the Board of Education meeting where there was a presentation of the revised curriculum standards. And I would just encourage any parents in the room, or even grandparents, to go on the website and take a look at the standards, because there's been much discussion about them. And I thought the presentation was very clear, and that you will have a good idea of what is actually happening in the school system, which sometimes isn't exactly the same as what you might read on social media or in the news even. So I would encourage you to become educated on that. We met August 1st for our green team, and it's encouraging. We're definitely making progress on specific goals, excuse me. So that's been going along at a pretty nice pace for summer. And lastly, I would just like to make mention of August 31st is Overdose Awareness Day. And
We have a proclamation on this evening.
yeah, that's
A
why I was just
resolution.
looking. I'm just making sure. And we do have a resolution for that. And I just wanted to say that it's very meaningful to me as a licensed drug and alcohol counselor and as a retired educator that we acknowledge this day, and that as a town, Tinton Falls is joining with the Prevention Coalition of Monmouth County to add a visual presentation here in Tinton Falls that is impactful when people pass it, and there'll be a flag for each overdose death that occurred in Monmouth County for just alone the months of January, I believe, till April, and that's 47 flags. So when you think about that, that's 47 individuals whose lives were sadly lost, and all the family members affected by that loss. And so I think it's very important that we acknowledge that, and that as a borough, as a community, we offer our care and support to not only those that are addicted, but their families as well. Thank you. That's my report.
Thank you, Mrs. Clay, appreciate it. Dr. Dobrin, for your report.
Okay, so the Tinton Falls Library Association Music Festival fundraiser will be and continues to be worked on for August 20th, and it's from 5 to 9. A lot of work is being put through. Go to the website, you'll see that it's going to be a great event. And fortunately, we heard about the Sycamore Avenue opening after this Friday, which is great. People will be able to get to the festival. I know we were concerned about that. I also want to say that I was at the graduation for the Junior Police Academy, and that's an outstanding program. My daughter did that program about 12 years ago. It's gone a long way since, and it's a great program for the students. And of course, I want to thank the chief for putting up, and the whole police department of Tinton Falls for all their efforts. It was a great event, great event. So I just want to thank everybody for that. Kids really enjoyed it. And I think that's it for my report. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Dr. Dobrin. Mr. Manginelli for your report?
Yeah, my condolences to the Sandberg family. I knew Bob, and the title he should have got was Tinton Falls Historian. He knew more about the town and taught me a lot about it. My condolences. Good man. That's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manginelli. Mr. Nessie for your report?
Thank you, Council President, and good evening, everybody. For the Chicken Advisory Board, there is no report. Everything is moving forward. For Planning Board, last meeting, the board approved JSM a 108,000 square foot warehouse located on Shafto Road. This was their third or fourth visit to the Planning Board, and they adjusted their application, and they conformed to a lot of the variances. Next meeting is tomorrow night. The applicant is RWJ Barnabas. The property is located within the open space and government use, which was the old Meyer parcel at Fort Monmouth. A lot of detail. That's tomorrow night here at 7 o'clock. And I'd also like to congratulate the Tinton Falls Junior Police Academy cadets on graduating their 3-week program with the police. I think it's a fantastic program, and I wish that they had it when I was their age, and it's just a fantastic program. And watching the cadets on day one, when they switch over from just walking in and meeting everyone and seeing their friends to, hey, this is a real program, and this is not going to be a cakewalk. This is a real thing. Watching that switch is a pretty cool moment. So again, congratulations to them. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Nessie. And finally, for my report, I also thank the Sandberg family for joining us today, and we will miss Bob on the Environmental Commission. I know he was on many other things. That's how I primarily know him, as the liaison to the Environmental Commission. And our next Environmental Commission meeting is on August 25th, and we have been discussing ways in which to honor Bob, both from the Library Association and the Environmental Commission. So you should hear more on that, and we'll keep you guys updated. The next Fort Monmouth Economic Revitalization Authority, FEMERA meeting, is Wednesday, August 17th at 5 p.m. I don't have the agenda yet, but I will let everybody know. And I would also like to offer congratulations to the Tinton Falls Police Department Junior Police Academy. I also attended the graduation this past Friday night. It's an excellent program. I didn't know all the details of it until I saw this phenomenal slideshow they did, and it's an awesome program. I'd like to congratulate Chief and thank Chief DeLucia and all the officers who were directly involved with the program as well. Upcoming events, Dr. Dobrin mentioned the library fundraiser on Saturday, the 20th at Sycamore Fields. I'd also like to mention the Taste of Tinton Falls event by Friends of the Crawford House and the Historic Commission on Saturday, August 27th at the Crawford House. So 2 Saturdays in a row, Tinton Falls events coming up. We hope you can join us for both. And that concludes my report for this evening. Next, we'll move on to ordinances for introduction. On the agenda, there are 2 ordinances for introduction. I'd like to remind the public that when an ordinance is introduced, there is no public discussion. The public discussion for the following ordinance will take place when it's up for final consideration. With that, may I ask the clerk to read the title of the first ordinance?
2022-1491, an ordinance amending section 7-3.4 of the Borough Code to designate Center Plaza as a no parking street. The public hearing will be held on September 6, 2022, or as soon thereafter as the matter can be reached on the agenda.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the introduction of this ordinance?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
May I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Clay?
Yes.
Dr. Dobrin?
Yes.
Mr. Manginelli?
Yes.
Mr. Nessie?
Yes.
Ms. Buckley?
Yes, thank you. Now, with regard to the second ordinance that you see on the agenda, I have been, but after the time the agenda was published, I've been asked by fellow council members to carry this ordinance to the next meeting. So as a courtesy, I will carry this ordinance's introduction to the next council meeting, which is September 6, 2022. So if you came here for that purpose, come back on September 6, 2022. There are no ordinances for final consideration on this evening, so that brings us to the open public discussion. May I have a motion to open the public discussion?
Motion.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
First, I'd like to ask the clerk if there's any public comments were submitted prior to the meeting via email.
There were none.
Thank you. This is the time the public may comment on any topic of their choice. Please state your name and address for the record and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Is there anyone here who would like to make a comment this evening? No. Yes, sir.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. Jeffrey King, 24 Elizabeth Parkway, Eatontown.
Hi, Jeff.
Want to say the traffic safety and police force has done an excellent job, and Public Works and everyone on all the detours. It's been a challenge, but you guys have made it better. The signage has been good, so thank you for that. Thank you for what you said about overdose awareness. Completely agree. It's a very important issue. I mean, there's so much good going on in the borough. There's so much that I appreciate about what you're doing. Your leadership is good. 1492, I have faith that you're trying to fine tune and make it even better. So thank you for keeping your minds open. That's what I asked for, and I appreciate that I'm seeing that. The library is excellent. I know Bob was big on that, so I always respected him for that. But I also mostly knew him through the Environmental Commission. But through the years, I got to know him through anything ocean-related, Sierra Club. He was a fixture there, and he was just an excellent guy, a great role model, a good friend, wealth of knowledge about all kinds of topics, definitely anything ocean-related and sailing. I would just think of him immediately, anything about boats. But we live close by each other, so we were always checking in or getting each other's back, and it was great knowing him, and I'm going to miss him a lot. So thank you so much to the administration and the council and the whole community for recognizing him. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. King. Does any other member of the public like to make a comment this evening? Okay. It's good to see former Environmental Commission members in the crowd, so thanks for coming. Okay. That I would like to have a motion to close the public discussion.
Motion.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Miscellaneous business, for the good of the order. Does any council member have anything to add that they didn't during their report? Okay. Now that brings us to resolutions. So we have a resolution that Mr. Starkey referenced before coming out of our executive session for approval conditionally designating Robert Wood Johnson Barnabas Health as the redeveloper of Block 101.03 Lot 1. May I ask the clerk to read the title of the resolution?
R 22-180, resolution conditionally designating RWJ Barnabas Health, Inc., redeveloper of Block 101.03, Lot 1, former Myers Center property within the Fort Monmouth Reuse and Redevelopment Plan area.
May I have a motion to adopt the resolution?
Motion.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you for the second. May I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Clay?
Yes.
Dr. Dobrin?
Yes.
Mr. Manginelli?
Yes.
Mr. Nessie?
Yes.
Ms. Buckley?
Yes. Now we will move on to the consent agenda. Before we do, are there any items any member of council would like to be removed and voted upon separately? Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. May I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Clay?
Yes.
Dr. Dobrin?
Yes.
Mr. Manginelli?
Yes.
Mr. Nessie?
Yes.
Ms. Buckley?
Yes. This concludes today's business. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Dobrin and Mr. Manginelli for the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
This meeting is now adjourned at 8:06 p.m. Thank you, everybody, and have a good evening.